Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity. I'm doing this unexpected, spontaneous review of the Watchmen Season 1 finale. Now, I haven't really been covering the Watchmen on my channel. I've been talking about it during my weekend review videos where I talk about a whole bunch of shows and I include the Watchmen in that. But as I mentioned the one last week, that I thought I might do an own separate individual live stream for just the Watchmen season 1 finale because I've been super impressed with this show. So I decided to do this immediately after I watched the episode rather than to wait until my weekend review and talk about it with a whole bunch of other episodes. I kind of thought the finale deserves its own video because I've really enjoyed this show. So far, I've been quite blown away by it. I was never expecting it to be this good. And yes, I want to give my thoughts on the finale. So first of all, got to give a spoiler warning. I mean, it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. You shouldn't be watching this video if you haven't seen all the way up to the end of the show. And that's an ironic statement because I know that only one person watching me right now hasn't seen up to the end of the show. Cardinal Doomsday, how's it going? But anyway, anyone watching this in the archives, I haven't watched my brother's video yet because I wanted to come in fresh just before I hear anyone, because I haven't heard anyone else's opinion. So I wanted to go in fresh and just give my thoughts on the finale before I hear what everyone else has to say. Now, I liked the finale. I thought it was good. I don't know if I would say it was like amazing. It didn't really blow me away necessarily. You don't really have to mute it, Colonel Doomsday, but if you don't want spoilers, yeah, you should. But anyway, it didn't necessarily blow me away, but it was good. I liked it. I think it satisfied me in a lot of ways, but some ways it didn't. Now, here's the thing that's really getting me, is that apparently Damon Lindelof has said that they kind of created the season to be self-contained, so they're not necessarily thinking ahead or thinking of doing a second season, and it hasn't been renewed for a second season, so we don't know if it's going to get one. I've heard apparently that it's not been very popular, which surprises the hell out of me because it's such a good show. It's like surprisingly, like it has no business being as good as it is. But the fact that it's, that we don't know if there's going to be a second season and this could be, designed to be one season, I gotta say, that bums me out. I think I would actually say if there is nothing after this, and this is all we get, it would make me think less of this season, less of this finale. And I'm not talking about the bullshit cliffhanger, which I saw coming from a million miles away. It did not surprise me at all. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying in general, a lot of the character stories still seem unresolved to me. I know a lot are, like the Lady True is completely resolved. The Adrian Veidt, I mean, could be resolved, but then it could go further. Dr. Manhattan is dead, so that's kind of resolved. But for me, sort of Angela, and particularly the grandfather, a lot of stuff around the grandfather still confuses me, and I think could be cleared up. And Angela's story, and again, having nothing to do with that cliffhanger, which I saw coming a million miles away, but just her character story. And I think that would be my biggest complaint of this episode, is that Angela was not given enough agency in this episode. She was basically just a bystander. And she's the character we've been following along throughout the series. She was our viewpoint character. She was driving the story. And so I did find it a bit disappointing to have her be just a bystander in the big finale, which I wouldn't bother me that much if we get another season, but if we don't, and this is it, kind of bothers me. It kind of seems like a bit anticlimactic. Again, nothing doing with that cliffhanger. But I might as well talk about the cliffhanger. Let's get that out of the way first. When I was watching that when I was watching the show and she had her foot and she was like gonna put it on the water and they showed a close up of her foot and it's very slowly going down the water. I was just going like, and it's gonna cut to black and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. I think I was off. I'm being honest. I was off by a couple seconds, maybe one like second and a little bit, but I was pretty close. And so when they cut the black, I was not the least bit surprised. I would have been shocked if they didn't. To be honest, I don't like it. Actually, I think that kind of ambiguity seems like a bit pretentious to me, if I'm going to be honest. But pretentious is what my old pal Mr. Lindelof loves to do. Now, I talked about this before. I mentioned this in the stream I did. The Star Wars had nothing to do with this, but I have a huge appreciation of Lindelof. Leftovers is one of my favorite shows of all time. Even Lost with its faults is one of my favorite shows of all time. And Watchmen, so impressed with this show because of Lindelof. So I love his stuff. I have an appreciation for him. But on the same hand, he has that pretentious side to his storytelling that always shows up that kind of irritates me, particularly with the Lost final season. That's when it was like really bothered me. And there was a few episodes of the Leftovers here and there, like the one where Matt is trying to get back into Miracle and all this contrived shit keeps happening. Like that annoyed the fuck out of me. So even though I love his stuff, he's noted for pretentiousness. And so I felt that ending, I saw it coming a million miles away, as I said, because it's so Lindelof. I mean, there's no way Lindelof's going to give us a definitive answer. That's what I was thinking. Like, there's no fucking way they're going to tell us whether or not it worked. They're going to leave it up to your imagination, which I think is dumb. But I knew Lindelof. I knew that's what he would do, so I made my peace with it. I wasn't like, I'm sure there were some people who were like, when it cut the black, were like, oh my God, no! And you're like yelling at their screens, but I wasn't, because that was so predictable. It was so Lindelof to do that. But honestly, I think it would have been better if they had a definitive answer, but I wasn't expecting one. But if my personal opinion, personal taste, especially the main reason why I say that is because getting back to what I was saying earlier about Angela's agency, because it would make her part in the story more relevant, but because it's left open, it doesn't. I don't think it justifies her part in this finale. Just my opinion. I know maybe some people disagree, but a lot of the other stuff I absolutely loved. I loved the way everything connects. Like, this is a show, and I rarely say this about a show. I say this about movies a lot, some of my favorite movies, but I rarely say this about a show. This is a show I am going to have to watch again, and soon. I can't put this off much longer. I suppose Westworld was kind of that way, but to be honest, I was never into Westworld as much as other people. I mean, I like the show, but I was never really into it that much as crazy about it as some other people were. So I never really felt that. I mean, kind of felt that way, but I was never driven to watch the whole season over again. I kind of was like, oh, it might be nice to, but I had too much time. With this show, I'm going to have to make the time. Sometime within the next couple months, I'm going to have to somehow find the time to watch the show again. If I ever want to do a proper review on it, I definitely need to watch it a second time. And I think it would be really enjoyable to watch it a second time, actually knowing, because when you're first way through, you don't know what, and it just seems weird Lindelofisms, like just weird shit happening. But now that you know, especially the Ozymandias storyline, I mean, that they like completely brought full circle and explained. And so now that I know like the deal with it and what Lady True's deal was and all that, like, it all makes perfect sense. And by the way, the fact that that statue she had of Adrian Veidt was actually Adrian Veidt, saw that coming a million miles away. Although I know I'm not alone. I'm not like, oh, I'm a genius, I figured it out, because pretty much everyone else figured it out too, because it's obvious. It's pretty obvious, to be fair. So, but I liked it. I love that was true. And it kind of because the way they folded it, because they had the ship that takes him from Europe, but it has to freeze him so he can survive the long journey, and that's how he gets like he's golden, and and of course there were theories going around that she was Veidt's daughter, so it's not like a huge shock that it was. There's other theory that she was the comedian's daughter, but I think it definitely makes a lot more sense for her to be Veidt's daughter. And that opening sequence in this episode was really amazing. Again, it's how they. This is what Lost did well when it worked. Is that it goes back and shows things from a different perspective to fill in blanks that you were missing before, to really flesh out the story and make you reconsider the events that you saw earlier. And as I said, I think watching the show again, knowing that Cal is Dr. Manhattan, knowing Lady True's backstory, knowing what's going on with Veidt, and knowing what's going on with the Cyclops and Angela's grandfather, and knowing all these things, really going to give a new perspective to rewatching this season. So I give it all the praise in the world, all the kudos in the world. I think I'm not gonna give a rating for the season overall in this video. Because I need to think about this. This is something I'm gonna have to sit with me for several weeks or at least a month before I make a final determination. Maybe not a month, maybe before that, but because it's a really yeah. I think I had to watch it again too before I make that determination. But I mean, I might give it a 10, maybe. We'll see, because it is perfect. Well, near perfect, as I said. I had slight issues, particularly with this finale. It wasn't as blow me away amazing as I thought it could be, or as I was hoping it would be. But it was still really good. It was still awesome how it brought everything together. But also, Looking Glass wasn't given that much agency as well in this episode. It seemed like he was he knocked Veidt over the head and brought him back, but other than that, he seemed kind of superfluous to the plot. And plus, because they did such a good job of fleshing out his characters, that's why I think the show deserves another season. To flesh out characters like that more and see more of them, because I'm not saying they're not fleshed out, they're really fleshed out. And that's why they're so good. That's why we want to see more of them. That's why they have a lot of places to go to continue with their storylines. Because I don't think this finale serviced all the characters enough. I think it serviced the ones that we don't have anymore, like Dr. Manhattan, Lady True. Yeah, it's just so damn good. I'm just so shocked. And I love the moment where Lady True is like reading the statement from the grandfather and saying about Cyclops and Holden's mother. It's just like, no, if we're sick of hearing this, if you want to get on that kill us, just get on with it, or you just do what you're gonna do. She's like, what do you think I'm gonna do? Well, you're gonna kill us. It's like, of course I'm gonna kill you. Like, that moment was pretty amazing. But then, like, I don't know, I just find the whole thing with Will a bit confusing, because he made a deal with Manhattan and he made another deal with Lady True, but he was Manhattan told him to make a deal with Lady True that was all part of the plan, and so he actually ended up, well, he didn't end up betraying her, but I don't know, I'm confused. I guess he knew what was going to happen. He knew he was going to die, that she was going to die, but then again, how did Dr. Manhattan know she was going to die? Because she died after he died. So he couldn't see events after his death. And plus, like, he also makes references to the egg thing. You have to you can't make an animal without breaking the eggs. And Will's like, oh, that will make sense to you. But how does Manhattan know this if he's already dead? Can he see beyond his lifespan? Maybe. I don't know. But that, by the way, that whole you can't make an animal breaking the egg doesn't make sense unless you assume that she did get the powers of Dr. Manhattan. And if she did, I think that would make a very interesting season 2. I want to fucking see that if she did get the powers. But even if she didn't, like, I'm not saying had to. But if they're going to leave it ambiguous and be like, it's up to you to decide, which I fucking hate that in some situations. Not all, but some. This one I would. I would say, yeah, she does. That's just my headcanon. But just because it would make the whole thing about transferring the thing, I mean, that was kind of obvious. A lot of people predicted that too. I thought they would do more with that than just have an ambiguous ending. I think they should have done more with that. But damn, yeah, it was really satisfying, like the way it started with fight and explain. Like the adversary thing, I think was amazing because it brought it full circle, like with the game master and how he was, or game warden, whatever he was called, that how he was actually invented by Vite to be an adversary. And he was, and had just before he died, it's like, was I a worthy adversary? And he was like, no, like, but you were a good showman. That was so Vite. And I also thought about how I think they could explore this whole world on Europa, because I thought about how flawed that was, and it was a really deep metaphor statement about how boring and absent-minded the human race would be if everyone got along and were just there to make people happy, and that's why we have conflict and strife, because then we'd have this placid, boring civilization with that's yeah and so that would be an interesting thing to explore more too. But anyway, I like how they tied that back into Lady True, where Ozymandias realized that she was his true adversary because she was just as intelligent and narcissistic as he was. and so that was a cool moment. And I did think maybe they defeated her a bit too easily. Again, I think maybe this episode rushed a little bit. That I think they should have stretched this storyline over a couple episodes. It seemed to happen a bit too fast, as I said, giving Angela more agency. But other than that, I did really enjoy this episode. So I'll give my rating for this episode there. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Close to a 10, not quite, but as I said, some things could have been better. It didn't blow me away, but it was really damn good. And it does make me think really positive of the season overall. And I still love this season. I think it's definitely, I think when I do my top 10 shows of 2019, I think top 3 is definitely going to be Watchmen, Expanse, and Mr. Robot. I think that's a given. Now, which order those 3 shows are going to be, I'm still unsure. I have to let the Expanse and the Watchmen sit with me a bit more, and I have to wait to see how Mr. Robot lands its ending before I make a determination on that. But I think those are definitely the 3 best shows of the year, in my opinion. Anyway, that's it for this quick review, just spilling out my thoughts. I'll probably do a weekend review later in the week for all the other shows I watched, and maybe sometime down the line, but maybe not till like 2 or 3 months. Maybe I'll do a full-length Watchmen review, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.